In this final part of the topic of debentures, we will be discussing about the redemption of debentures. Redemption of debentures basically means the process or the act of returning the loan. So, like I said, debentures are basically loans taken by the company. So, whenever you take loans after maybe 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, whatever may be the period of time, after that certain period of time, it needs to be returned. So, in this part, we will see how the company basically prepares or returns this uh, debentures or the loans that they have taken. Now, we have already discussed that previously in the classes also, I have discussed that redemption might happen in two cases. One of the cases is where there is no sinking fund. The case where, sorry for that, where there is no sinking fund. And secondly, a case may be there where we have a preparation of sinking fund is there. Okay, so I'll explain both these points, okay, both these topics. But before that, let's talk about an example, okay, which will give us a bit of a clear sight about this creation of sinking fund. Like, let's say, okay, supposingly if this is a balance sheet of a company, all right. So we have liabilities and we have assets. So liabilities, let's say, okay, we have equity, share capital of 1 lakh rupees, and let's say all of this has been used to buy sundry assets of different kinds, okay, which will also be a value of 1 lakh rupees. Now, if the company now wants to expand or wants to increase its business, it requires more capital. All right. So now the company may, let's say, take a loan, or let's say issue debentures. Okay, both can be understood from this terminology, loan. So if they have taken a loan of, let's say, 50,000 rupees, now what will happen? Accordingly, asset side value will also increase by 50,000 rupees. So the total is 1 lakh 50,000 and 1 lakh 50,000 in both the assets and the liability side. Now this loan, let's say, is for a period of 3 years. All right. After 3 years, this means that you have to return this loan of 50,000 rupees, right? That means the company, to return this capital or this loan of amounting to rupees 50,000, what can it do? Now, one of the easiest way is to sell off some of the assets valuing up to 50,000 and then sell it. And whatever cash is acquired from it, give it back to the debenture holders or the persons from whom you have taken this loan. But what will happen because of this? Your business operations will get affected in a very negative way. So this is not an option that the company can do. Another thing that the company can do is we can take loans from another place. Maybe this person was taken from person A, okay, this loan of 50,000. Now to repay Mr. A, you can take Mr. loan from Mr. B, which is amounting to rupees 50,000. But what is happening here? This is also not the correct manner in which this loan is to be repaid. So, what is to be done? Now, the company has invested 1,50,000 into the business and has assets worth rupees 1,50,000, with which it is operating, and out of this operations, it must be generating certain amount of income, all right, or let's say profit. Now, what we can do is, out of the profits that this company has earned, let's say the company is earning uh, an amount of 30,000 rupees every year. Okay, this is the annual profit of the company. If this 30,000 rupees the company saves for a period of 3 years, in a 3 years this will be how much? This will be amounting to 90,000. So if the company has saved some money, okay, from its income, instead of spending it, what can happen? They can use this 90,000 rupees to directly uh, repay the loan that the company has taken. So the idea behind the repayment of loan, okay, even these debentures that we are talking about is basically a loan, right? So basically, to repay of this loan, the company is required to create a certain reserves, okay, or meant to save some certain amount of money, which is known as your DRR, or debenture redemption reserve. Now, this debenture redemption reserve, okay, it is provided by the law. Now what has happened over the period is that different companies have taken loans from the people, and then later what had happened was they were unable to repay back that loan. Now, to safeguard the interest of the investors, the people who are giving these loans, the people who are providing this financial aid, now all of this is protected basically by your Companies Act. And under this Companies Act, they have stated that this DRR is to be created. Now there are different points, okay, how much to save, okay, how much should be the DRR, all of that is basically provided by the Companies Act. So firstly, regarding this DRR, what they have stated, point number one is, they shall be created out of the profits. Whatever company makes in profit, a certain portion of that is to be transferred to your DRR. Now, apart from that, how much should be the adequate amount? We are talking about this debenture redemption reserve fund, right? So what should be the basic amount or the adequate amount? So they have stated at least 25% of the value of debentures. So supposingly, if you have issued debentures worth rupees 1 lakh, 25% of this value of 1 lakh should be created as DR. That will be amounting to 25,000 rupees. So 25,000 rupees should be created as DRR. And thirdly, they have stated whatever is the DRR created, okay, 15% of the value of the debentures should be invested, all right, into certain governmental highly secured investment funds. So this 15% of will be basically of 1 lakh rupees. So at least a value of 15,000 rupees out of this DRR should be invested into certain funds. So what will happen if you do all these things? Maybe you have saved 25,000, okay, the actual borrowing was 1 lakh rupees. Out of that, 15,000 you have invested, okay. So let's say you have earned a certain amount of interest, let's say 5,000 was the interest. So at least 30,000 out of the 1 lakh, the company is already ready with that. Remaining 70,000, maybe the company has certain cash reserves, maybe it can borrow or take loans from another people, okay, and use that money to repay back the entire amount of the debentures. So this is about your DRR, okay. In both the cases, whether they have sinking fund, whether do not have sinking fund, in both the cases this debenture redemption reserve is to be created.